Hacking and cheating in Jumpstrat has come a long way ever since the game first launched back in 2013. We've had methods where you could verify glitch a level using old patches to make it to the current servers, speed hacking, bots, cuts, and the Endlevel method. Yeah. While some of these claims can be debunked or be proven true if done enough research, there is a few that are undoubtedly questionable, and today comes in the form of the Kurumi situation. Now, before you dislike bomb this video and comment that Kurumi hacks and VERNAM is a god, let me actually tell you why Kurumi is actually legitimately not hacking or cheating in any way, and why Eiriley's video on Kurumi is false. Now, I want to make this clear. I get you want to side with one another, like side with Eiriley, side with Kurumi, I get that. I'm just here to present the facts. If you're siding with Eiriley and want to believe nothing no matter who it comes other than Eiriley, this video is a massive trigger warning for you. So yeah, without any further ado, let's get into the first debunking video of a little series. Now, before I debunk some of the theories presented in Eiriley's video, I want to give some context for those who don't know. On March 3rd, 2021, Eiriley released a 23-minute video exposing Kurumi for cheats, cuts, and being a bad person. And the points in order are the golden clicks, for example, double vortex 5 clicks, OBS scene changing, Xbot scripts, desynced clicks, recycle clicks on Tartarus, firework clicks example, double vortex missing clips, gunsing corridor missing clicks, firework miscounted movement and inputs, super challenge missing clicks, firework handcam, Kurumi finally care challenge, breakout cuts, the golden orb pulses, farming views, 2-month break, and English speaking community calling out Eiriley. All these claims are bundled together in one video, and it's my surprise Eiriley put this much effort in a video. However, there is one flaw, that the video is in Russian. Thanks to some translators, we're able to get English subtitles, so the English-speaking community knows what Eiriley is talking about. The first point to disprove, or example rather, is his The Golden Example. In this example, Eiriley states that if proofs can't be faked, remember his The Golden Completion with chat and clicks. And there's actually one rule Eiriley couldn't follow when it comes to using clicks in his The Golden Completion video. If we open up Vegas Pro 17, import the video file, scroll only the video part of the final video enough to where after one click it registers 2 frames afterwards, we can start figuring out what's wrong. Now, why 2 frames? In Kubowitz's video on Pixel Frame Perfect Timings, link for that is in the description, he shows that every time you click while the game is running, the actual input registers 2 frames afterwards. 1 frame, nothing happens. The other is where something happens. Just for the sake of compilation, I'm going to show a few parts where Eiriley's The Golden Completion fails to meet this rule. If the click happens after an action, the rule is broken. If the click isn't a buffer click and happens greater or less than 2 frames, the rule is broken. So, I'll just let it play away. From these few moments, it's very easy to tell that Eiriley used Xbot to hack the Golden. This is why his completion is not added on Pornograde, because the Demons List team knew this was hacked. Keep this in the back of your head later on, as it'll be important. Before we move on to the next point, the person Eiriley mentioned a lot was Muaji Osu, who states that he has made fake completions and climbs on the stats viewer. When looking at the stats viewer, the only person that comes up is Muaji, without the Osu, and his only completion is Hell and getting 52% on Bowser Vortex. Now, when going on YouTube, only a 9 circles level appears, so if anyone can tell me who this person is, drop them in the comments. The next point is switching scenes in OBS from a Geometry Dash gameplay to a pre-recorded fake completion of an extreme demon or challenge. In Kurumi's video, we can actually see what software he uses to view video files, and that's VLC Media Player. However, This point is critically flawed for two reasons. One, when streaming VLC Media Player, the video is blacked out and the only thing you can see is where each of the buttons, drop downs, and interfaces are. Two, if you were to resize VLC Media Player on the y-axis, you'll actually get stretching in the video, so even if Kurumi wanted to switch between scenes, someone could notice that he used stretched footage. But let's say if Kurumi found a way to not stretch footage, well, the only way he could sneak in switching scenes is using a key binding. However, it's not possible to hear the key binding with a bit of work, with right clicking being the obvious one. Here is a back-to-back playthrough of left clicks and right clicks. You can clearly notice a difference between right click and left click. Now, what if Kurumi managed to sneak in this replay? There's two more flaws Kurumi would have to pass. One, he would have to render out the clip with brightness adjusted, and two, the frame rate of the video would noticeably dip as 144Hz monitors used in geometry tasks lock frames to 144 frames per second, segment 240Hz being 240 frames per second. And since 60 is not divisible by 144 evenly, it wouldn't take long to figure out that pre-recorded footage is used. But since Kurumi revealed in a community post he has nothing related to scene switches, this is false. XSpot follows a similar method to the OBS point, in which you would turn it on and need a key binding to turn it on. At least, I assume at least. If anyone who uses XSpot literally can correct me on this, please do so in the comments. Actually, while I was editing this video, you can actually use a keybind to turn XSpot on. But when you close XSpot, the program doesn't work anymore, so yeah, that's something that Eiriley has messed up on. But what Eiriley claimed, you can use a key binding to turn on XSpot and then close XSpot and allow it to keep running. Now, you actually would need clicks to make the XSpot look legitimate on stream. Well, Eiriley does state in the video that you can use right click to get around this, but as we stated before, this is completely false. One thing Eiriley did not mention was if you were to use left click, you actually have to disconnect your mouse to blend in the clicks with the stream. But when you do that, since Kurumi runs on Windows, it makes a notification noise. You unplug your mouse, then when you plug your mouse back into your computer, it makes another notification noise. Here's what I mean. So even if Kurumi can get away with using left click, he still has to disconnect his mouse somehow. The next point is desynced clicks, and this one goes back to the golden example. In this point, Eiriley states that he used Tartarus to determine desynced and unnatural sounding clicks, with a nice message to go fuck ourselves if we think the clicks are not natural. Pretty nice guy. My first take was to utilize the 2-frame rule and see if Kurumi passes it, excluding any buffer clicks. To my knowledge on this Tartarus clip, which is 46% to 100%, he does pass this rule. Let me show you what I mean. The next section is Eiriley thinks that Kurumi recycled his clicks to make them sound the same. However, this cannot be easily credited by one factor: sound waveform. In Vegas Pro 17, Goldwave, or Audacity, you can take an MP4 file, look at the sound's waveform, and see what is repeated or not. Using a few hard sample clicks in the Tartarus video and looking at them in a waveform, we could see small differences in these clicks. Here's a few examples. Oh, and I made sure to get the light clicks too. As you can see, these waveforms do not match. You could say that's only because of the music, but I'm fairly certain if you use a program to remove clubstep from the audio, you could tell that the waveforms still won't match. The reason this happened is mouses tend to have similar clicks depending on the force you click on them. So if I click a few times and view the waveforms on these clicks, they are identical, but they do not 100% match. For the next point, this is an example run, Firework, specifically reaching 70%, using the spacebar only. Using our favorite 2-frame rule, there is one part I would love to show. In this part, you're supposed to jump to make it into the inverted gravity portal and hit the pink orb at the right time. But if we adjust the clip to where it meets the 2-frame rule, it doesn't want to work. And not only that, if you look at the hand cam and cube at the same time, you can actually see the cube jumps right before he hits the spacebar. Pretty impressive circuit tricks if you ask me. Okay, maybe not, but what happened here? Well, it's one short answer. This is actually an XBot run as publicly stated. Next up is Devil Vortex missing clicks on the second strafefly, specifically near the beginning. Using the 2-frame method, it's actually difficult to tell if Kurumi passes this rule because the clicks are silent. Right? Well, no. Using Goldwave to increase the volume and view the waveforms in real time, we can actually see approximately where these clicks are meant to be, in these spots to be exact. It all boils down that Kurumi either may not have a good microphone, or noise suppression is on. But, alright, why did this happen? It could be Kurumi's microphone can't take soft clicks, or noise suppression is on, but I'm fairly sure noise suppression is on. Whatever is the case, these clicks do exist, just a bit quietly. At the 25% wave, we could see a similar case. Here, the common person could hear 5 clicks, but where's the 6th one? Using the same method, we can find, yet again, approximately where the 6th click is. And without increasing the volume a lot, if you replay the video many times, you may be able to work out that the last click is there. It took me a while, so try this if you want to. Just make sure your volume is up, but not enough to break your eardrums. Just a little side note, while looking at the Devil Vortex footage, Kurumi still passes the 2-frame rule, just we can't use it on the strafefly, so okay. Gunslinger Corridor has a similar situation. In this strafefly, you could do soft clicks or hard clicks as stated before. Where are these clicks? They're right here. Nothing more to explain. Noise suppression's on, and yeah. Next up is the Firework Unexpected Movement and Click Count. Here at 60%, there are 3 inputs you have to do to go to the shift part. For one click, you hit the blue orb at the ball. For the second click, you hold the mouse down to where the robot reaches the gravity portal while the robot is upside down. And the last click is jumping into the ship part. In Eiriley's case, he states that there are 3 movements and 2 clicks. What I have to assume is Eiriley counted the ball part as a 3rd movement, but didn't count the click at the ball part, so I don't know why he included this. Super challenge, oh boy. In this jitter click part, which is really tough, you're supposed to click twice so invisible gravity portal could bring you upward, and you can move on. To no one's surprise, using the waveform method, the 2 clicks are present, but very subtle. If you want proof that there is invisible portals there, well, go watch the full level or just copy it and flip between preview mode, on and off. You'd be impressed by how hard this challenge really is. Before I move on to the next point, Eiriley states that there is an obvious click sound difference where it's a hard click and a soft click. Before you ask about the differing click delays, well, buffer clicks are a thing. So if a click happens at, let's say, 0.6 milliseconds after an input was registered, and the game mode was a cube, robot, ball, or spider, and the icon is in the air, ready to hit the ground or an orb, it's a buffer click. The next point is the Firework hand cam point. In these runs by Kurumi, he uses a hand cam that runs at like 20 frames per second, I guess, and Eiriley states that he doesn't click in some of the clicks. So if a hand cam is complete trash, what do we use as an alternative? The 2-frame rule. Now, there are a few parts where it seemed like the actual input should be off by 1 frame. If this is the case, like right here, count that frame where the click happens since Kurumi uses a 144Hz monitor, then count the next frame. The reason this happens is simple actually. 60 frames is not divided evenly by 144 frames, as stated before, resulting in converting a 72 frames or 144 frames per second video to 60 frames per second, giving these delays. And yes, since YouTube gives only 60 frames per second videos, this does happen. It is normal, just convert a video and you'll see what I mean. Here's a rundown of the 2-frame rule on Firework. Okay, enough about Firework. Let's go back to challenges. And none other than Durami's challenge, Durami Finally Care. In Eiriley's point, he claims that at the end, where there's a free flying section where there's spikes on the floor and roof, he should have died when celebrating. But I think Riley forgot the point we have 2 arms. Now, Kurumi is left-handed, I assume, so when he is celebrating, you can see his right hand pick up his headset, but his spine is turned enough to where his left arm doesn't fall off the mouse, resulting in a nosedive. This is why his left arm is still able to reach the mouse, and still able to click and survive without nosediving or flying into the roof. Simple human skeleton logic. Breakout is the next subject, and the first to not feature XSpot, and that's mostly because XSpot wasn't even a thing back then if I'm not mistaken. So Eiriley's method of detecting cuts is using someone else's gameplay, Nexus's for example, overlays it by the frame with Kurumi's Breakout playthrough, looks at the saws and see if the saws don't match rotation. Let me be the first one to say this method will never work. The real method is to look for cuts to see if objects that don't have fixed rotations, such as saws and gears, either spin opposite direction, jump in a different position, or the background shifts abruptly. From Kurumi's Breakout video, well guys, guess what? None of these factors found cuts. I don't know where Eiriley got his method from, but the method I used was the same method Ramo and Noctifly confessed to. Let me repeat that. Noctifly, a former top 1 player on the leaderboards, grinding demons, slaying extreme demons, used cuts and was exposed by the method I mentioned, which came from Riot and Johto Squad. Here is an example of an actual cut.
So we'll move to the first actual cut that I can see. This one's pretty simple. So saw's moving this way, saw's moving this way. I'll rewind it again so you can see it. Saw's moving that way, and it stops and starts going the other direction. So cut number 1. Now cut number 2 is coming up right here. It's going to be right here. You see these placements, you see this thing and this thing, these little rotating things. Watch how fast they jump, okay? So right there, you saw the cut. Maybe you didn't, but also I'll play it in slow-mo. So watch the position. Just watch them right here. Okay. There. They just skipped. They just completely skipped to a completely different position. So that's cut number 2. Oh, okay. Yeah. It's the saw. It's the saw. Alright. So, as you can see, right here, saw is moving this direction, right? This direction, so that's clockwise. I'll just rewind it again so you can see it. It's clearly going that way, and now going the other way, counterclockwise. So that's one of the last. There's one more cut in this video, which this guy, he plays it off and says that it's a recording bug. Let me just tell you 100%, this is not possible. This isn't possible. This doesn't happen. And if you're playing one full smooth attempt, completely one whole attempt, it does not happen. The saws don't change directions, no matter what, no matter bugs or anything. So yeah, it's like 100% a cut.
Now, one more point. Every time you die in a level, the background and all rotating objects that aren't controlled by the rotate trigger, which are saws, gears, and these decoration objects, continue to rotate and the background stays where it is and continues when you respawn. I like how Eiriley uses this point against Kurumi, but doesn't use it against Technical, Nepesta, Riot, Serve, Swyborg, and Swish, and other top players. Seriously, Eiriley, you didn't expose the top players for this method? Oh boy, we're going back to the Endlevel pacepen. So in short, Eiriley states that Kurumi's the golden video speed hack, which is to slow the game down, and the only way to find if someone used speed hacks is to find differing orb pulses. Well, what Eiriley used actually sounds presentable. An orb has different pulses, but that's not true. If I use my auto version of the golden, use Kurumi's video of the golden, and someone from Pornicry who has beaten the golden legitimately with unmodified music, line them up and then go back to where Eiriley says the orbs have different pulsage, this doesn't happen. What actually happened was Eiriley went inside, recorded his clip of the golden, fresh from the ground up, purposely got the orbs to desync, and used that against Kurumi. Common sense, everyone. But I can see why, since the level is so dark. With all this compiled, can we say Kurumi is a cheater? We actually cannot for all the reasons. So in conclusion, the myth that Kurumi cheats in Geometry Dash is false. Alright, so I want to do this short section to clean up the second half of the video showing Kurumi is a bad guy. Well, honestly, it doesn't take much knowledge. In this first point, Eiriley states that he made his 70% botted firework and the English users went to the comments saying that it's hacked. Literally. Which they're not wrong. In Eiriley's defense, it was publicly stated and that it was botted. I'm actually not sure if Eiriley first named the video a legitimate title where it's something like Fireworks 70%, verifying, and then named it to what it is today after his video came out as Wayback Machine doesn't have any archive. Stop, boys! This is legitimately true! Speaking of Wayback Machine, however, people have a reason why they are calling out Eiriley. Using Wayback Machine, I found something very interesting. It leads to a snapshot where it goes back to July 18th, 2020. In this snapshot, Eiriley is under the name GMD Oruzi, and has shown videos that we haven't seen. The Golden is one example of the same video, but then there's a few more. Erebus, Phobos, and Ithacropolis. I'll put the Erebus video are down as of making this video, which the Erebus video is unlisted and can be viewed today. But the comments and likes are disabled. I wonder why. As for the Golden, only his 74% record can be viewed today. If you want to check this out for yourself, the link to the Wayback Machine is in the description, and also his videos of the Golden, Erebus, and Erebus with clicks, for proof of Pointer Crate, I assume. It's clear why these records didn't make it to Pointer Crate, and so did the other ones. The final point I want to cover is the 2-month break Kurumi took while doing Firework. Now I want to give some insight. Kurumi first started Firework just because and wasn't verifying, but then 2 months later, we got some progress on Firework. Now during those 2 months, he did other things like challenges at Extreme Demons. A lot of Eiriley's statements are straight up insults to Kurumi and don't provide actual reasons as to if Kurumi took a break from Geometry Dash, from Firework, or both. If tomorrow I had finger pains to where I can't play GD, I would stop playing the game and drop all my verification projects and give them to someone else and stop doing Extreme Demons I wanted to do. Riot had the same after doing Red Road Rebirth. His finger pain was annoying enough to make him stop. When he came back to do Zafkill, he wouldn't finish it due to finger pain. Kuko Blitz had the same, where after playing Geometry Dash for a long time, with the spacebar, he was diagnosed with carpal tunnel, so he had to switch to a mouse. I have an issue with eye strains where staring at a computer screen for too long with high light temperatures causes my eyes to hurt. Zanny, I'm pretty sure, wanted to focus on his mental health over Sonic Wave Infinity for a bit, but then some fans started raging at him for not prioritizing a mental game over mental health. Quasar had to quit the game as he was severely mentally ill and could not stick with the Geometry Dash community as Bloodlust really hurted him in the long run. So yeah, you can see how even a good human needs a break once in a while. or just has to stop playing the game. These insults I mentioned a while back apply to the past 20 minutes of the video, such as when I said Eiriley states that if the Tartarus clicks sounded natural, we would go fuck ourselves. And actually, Eiriley, unlike me, promotes dislike bombs and hate. He says, in a quote, "Retards who puzzle out or don't understand anything, go dislike the video. VERNAM's kind video got 250 dislikes. Just angry Kurumi fans. You're all bastards." Is Kurumi a bad guy? Most likely not. If he was, he wouldn't be bad as Krazen or Auroras. Sorry, Eiriley and VERNAM. You two kind of don't know what you're talking about. Recently, Eiriley made 2 videos on the Kurumi situation, those being a proof video and what I assume a roasting video. In the first video, the title says if Kurumi is legitimate, then Eiriley is also legitimate. Let me be the first person to say that this is impossible to say if you have a history of hacking. There is literal public information on Wayback Machine showing you hacked Phobos, Erebus, the Golden, and Ithacropolis, and 2 unlisted videos of the matter. Most of the videos that were found on Wayback Machine are gone. The next video has an age restriction on it. I wonder why. I don't speak Russian, nor can I translate the lyrics easily, but from what I can tell, it's a roasted video on Kurumi. Like, how sad is it that you have to expose someone to make them lose firework verification, then badmouth them afterwards, when all the evidence that you gave in your video doesn't apply to the top players, but somehow only apply to Kurumi? So, in the end of it all, why could Eiriley's video be made? The answer to that is make Kurumi lose firework verification. But overall, this video should at least place the final nail in the coffin to the situation, and we should never have to witness a similar situation. If VERNAM freaked out because Eiriley showed the points to VERNAM and got him to believe these points, I'm just without words on this one. The point here is I'm not saying Sid 125 should lose verification and Kurumi should get verification back if he's willing to finish the level. I'm saying it's unacceptable to do such a thing unless the verifier has a legitimate history of being a horrible person, like Krazen, or Auroras, or Cyrillic. If I have to make a second video on this, whether it's a response video, disproving more points, correcting myself, or all the above, I will do so.